Recently someone asked me, "Are you afraid to die?" Instead of answering yes or no, I asked him, "Does death even exist?" He looked surprised by my answer, so I continued, "Maybe the real question is not, are you afraid to die? Maybe the real question is, were you taught to be afraid to die?" Are you afraid to die? That question always felt strange to me. Not because I believe the body lives on forever. That's not the point. My point is the story we attach to death. The fear, the finality, the black hole, the nothingness. Just the idea that we appear from nowhere, from the nothing. Then we experience this for a while, and then we go back to the nothingness, to the nowhere. The story we are told, it's almost ridiculous when you say it out loud. It's almost like a bad B-movie. First, there's nothing, darkness, a black hole. Then suddenly, you open your eyes, you were born. You become you. Then you spend like 80, when you're lucky, 100 years walking around on this wet rock, spinning through space. You worry, you laugh, you chase things, you cherish, you suffer, you may lose things, you pay taxes and you obey. And then one day, the light goes out again, back into the darkness, back into the black hole, back into the nothingness. Just worm food. End of story. That story sounds simple, maybe too simple. That story asks us to believe that our consciousness comes from nowhere, looks through your eyes for a few decades, experience an entire world around you, and then disappears again in the nowhere. Maybe it's true, maybe the story is as simple as it is. But me, I'm not convinced that the official explanation tells us everything. Let's not forget there are different stories as well. Some religions talk about heaven and hell. Other traditions talk about reincarnation. Others talk about living in a simulation, a matrix. Others believe that our consciousness is not created by the body, but received through it, like a signal or a frequency. I'm not claiming to know the truth. I don't know which story is true, and that's exactly the point. I don't claim to know what death is, or whether it even exists in the way we understand it. I don't claim to know what happens next. But I think it's hard to believe that we come from nowhere, we emerge from the nothing and then disappear again in the same nothing. Maybe death is not what we think it is. Maybe it's not an ending. Maybe it's a return, a reset, a transition. Or maybe we're just looking all in the wrong direction, and there's something about death we were never meant to understand. And this is exactly where the question becomes very uncomfortable. Being afraid of death doesn't prevent you to die. It only changes the way you live your life before it happens. What if the real prison is not death itself? What if the real prison is the fear of death? Because once a human is terrified of dying, that fear can be used. It can be sold, it can be weaponized, it can be turned into obedience. Almost every system of control, eventually it comes back to death. Do this or you could die. Eat this or don't eat that. Take these medicines, or maybe you could die. Just obey, or other people could die. Pay more taxes, give up more freedom, surrender more, fear more, or the world we live in could end. Someone pointing a gun at you says, your money or your life. He doesn't control you just because of the gun itself. He controls you because you are afraid of what it can do. Take away the fear, and the whole situation with someone pointing a gun at you becomes almost absurd. You could practically tap him on the shoulder, say, "Have a nice day," and just walk away. The weapon did not change. Your fear did. Religion can use death. Politics can use death. War can use death. The media can use death. The whole industry can profit from our fear to die. The message changes, but the mechanism stays the same. Keep people afraid of losing their lives. Now, ask yourself, what happens if people are no longer afraid to die? What happens to war if death is not the ultimate threat anymore? What happens to religions who are built on fear of punishment after death? If people don't fear death anymore, the whole political and control system will collapse. A huge part of the world economy will collapse. Many religions will collapse. Fear of death, the most powerful weapon ever used against humanity, would just become useless. So maybe the real question is not, are you afraid to die? But maybe the real question is, were we taught to be afraid to die? Maybe death is real. Maybe the body ends, maybe this life ends, maybe this form ends. But the fear surrounding death, the stories we are told about it, and the control built about it, that's something else. And maybe that is what we should really be questioning. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe death is exactly what we are being told. Maybe the light just goes out and nothing remains. But I can't pretend that that answer fully satisfies me. Maybe we're not really afraid of death. Maybe we're just afraid of not knowing. And maybe that uncertainty is the key. Because when people are afraid of the unknown, you can fill that darkness with almost any story you want. Don't believe me. Think for yourself.